one tank left. All these tanks going down to this Roach Wall. The Roach Wall wasn't really able to take much damage there. These Roaches really have the opportunity here. They could have taken out this expansion. These Hellions would not have been able to stop them. So, not quite sure what Teshuva is thinking there. He does have a few banged up Roaches, but he took out those tanks, which is absolutely important. He was only up against Hellions. And Hellions have the bonus against light, not against Roaches, so he would have been perfectly fine. He could have moved in, take this expansion out. He could even have thought about bypassing it and dropping this supply depot, which doesn't last too long to that many Roaches. So, I don't like the play by Teshuva there. I think he should have capitalized. He was obviously a little bit concerned, thinking that there would be more siege tanks up on the ramp, which there weren't. So, I think Aeolus has caught a bit of a break there. He really should have thought of sieging on the cliff here, which he is now, sending those siege tanks to that spot. So, yeah, he is recognizing there. Nice play by Aeolus. We are seeing a massive Hellion still committing here, so this is a heavy ground build. If we see a Spire go down for Teshuva, then that might make a bit of a difference. We are seeing Tunneling Claws going in, so he's working on these Roach upgrades. You'll notice that they switched the Roach icons. I'm not quite sure, but we are seeing this gold expansion come online, but no drones mining it. It just seems to be Teshuva committed to this all-in with Roaches so far. He is bringing his Overseer online, but these tanks are now on the cliff. Very good recognition there by Aeolus. He was realized that how much he got smashed in that fight, so he's taken the strong point. Meanwhile, Teshuva is waiting for this upgrade to come online, I imagine, but he's sending his Roaches in to shut down this expansion. This is what he should have done after he won that initial fight. He really should have taken him out there. But he is working on it now. They are in range of some of these tanks, and we have this nice wall of SCVs. These Roaches are definitely not going to get into the main. If they come up here, the SCVs will block them off, plus a supply depot before they can even get to the tanks, and the tanks will just butcher them. I think Teshuva is recognizing this. He's a bit afraid of this Terran wall, which is why we didn't see him going last time. And his command center is going to burn down unless Aeolus can save it somehow. Yes, it is. Very nice positioning above this little ramp here. So these SCVs are going to save this command center, which is huge for Aeolus. He is going to land with these Roaches still there. Not sure if I can do that, but he might think about landing and turning this vanilla CC into a planetary fortress. If he can do that, then he's going to be absolutely fine as the expansion. He's just mining here. He's just letting it go online, sending out his Hellions. While we are seeing the Sea Stain sieging up on the ramp, the Roach is still targeting the command center, but now they're moving in underground. They're going to pop up and drop on top of these siege tanks, but there's so many siege tanks on the cliff. The positioning for Aeolus is much nicer here, and he does have that turret in place. That was good turret placement here that's been able to pick up those Roaches, and this entire army of Teshuva is going to go down. So Aeolus, really great defensive work. I really like the aggressive play by landing his command center in the middle of this Roach army, and the Roach army thought they were being given a free banquet there, but no, it was just a distraction while he moved his own forces out, so the Roaches couldn't catch Aeolus' forces out of position. Really like that play by Aeolus, and he's just taking the initiative back into this game. So yeah, still very vulnerable to air though, and he should think about repairing this tank. But no, nice play there by Aeolus. I think Teshuva is now on the defensive. He still hasn't spread this creep here, which I would like to see, but you know, he has spread it fairly close to Aeolus' base, so he can pipe those in. He needs to get his gold 6 expansion going, which he is now finally getting some drones. He needs to probably think about putting a queen there and sending some creep towards this expansion just to enable a superhighway of reinforcements. But no, Teshuva's still okay. Both players still committed to this ground. I'd like to see some upgrades coming out here. I know he is hurting for the Vespene, probably because he had that second extractor offline for so long. And finally we are seeing the Spire go down for Teshuva. So he's recognizing that this is a absolutely heavy mech ground with Hellions and siege tanks. But we are also seeing we're also seeing Aeolus mixing it up, and now Thor is out. The first Thor is on the field, and this is the Mack truck on legs is just going to go to work on these mutas unless we can see some astounding micromanagement from Teshuva. But no, Teshuva seems to be committed to these Roach Hydra balls, and these siege tanks are really going to rip it to shreds, especially when they're supported by so many Hellions and a Thor. It's going to depend on whether or not the micro can close with these tanks, especially if he gets them up on a ramp and Teshuva is stuck assaulting a ramp from below. These ramps really favour Terran. If exploited, they can really just absolutely go to work. So I imagine we're going to see more Thors, more Marines, and of course more tanks coming out for Aeolus. He is still committing to these Hellions. You haven't seen many Lings coming from Teshuva yet, so it's a good insurance policy because Zerg can just dump so many minerals quickly into Zerglings. So it's a good insurance policy against that, but against this Hydra Roach build, I think he needs to focus more on getting as many tanks out as possible and the support to keep him alive. But we are seeing Aeolus move out now. He's capitalizing on that great defense that he did. So I imagine he's going to take the ramp this time. Unless he's going to go for an all-in again and try and move in, but these Hydras are going to catch him out of position. No, he's going for the all-in. He's going down the ramp. Oh, these mutas are going to work, but these Thors are just going to absolutely mince these mutas once they realise they're there. The Hydralisk going to work there, but the Hydralisk caught out of position. They're taking the bulk of the siege tank damage here. The Roaches collapsing the left flank as they melt their way through these tanks. But this Thor and this cluster of tanks melted through the Hydras, and now they're going to work on these Roaches. So a little bit of being caught out of position there for Teshuva. He's desperately trying to send mutas into these Thors, but these Thors do AoE splash damage to air. So this Thor might go down to this lone Mutalisk, and now this Mutalisk is free to work on these tanks, which, no, they're not going to retreat, they're just going to commit to this attack, just going to ignore the muta, whatever, who cares, there's a muta on me, they do have a lot of hit points, so it's going to take a long time for one lone muta to work their way through it. We are seeing more mutas come out here for Teshuva. Meanwhile, these tanks are just racking up the kills, knocking down yet another extractor, so more gas problems on the way for Teshuva. It seems like Aeolus has just said, look, this army's what it is, I'm just going to commit to this push and send it in and do as much damage as possible, which he has done, and I believe that he's made Teshuva focus on mutas here, so I think that Teshuva's unwisely going to keep pumping out mutas, perhaps, especially as he's got even gas levels, and we are seeing lots of mutas come out. So if Aeolus continues to pump the Thors out and support them with Marines, he's going to be just fine. We are seeing Thors coming out of one factory, while the Hellions and siege tanks are just pouring out. So this is a really good build here, I find, by Aeolus, just pumping out constant streams of metal. He switched from ground metal to having a little bit more air defense. These Thors and Marines are really going to completely cover these mutas, especially if he gets enough siege tanks online. He could actually think about taking another base. No, we are seeing Teshuva come in with harassment here. There is good turret placement here, so Teshuva is slowed down a bit here. We'll probably see these Thors and Marines being moved in position to defend. There's only one Thor and a couple of Marines, so there's a lot of damage potential here for Teshuva. They're going to catch this ball of SCVs, and no, the SCVs are running to the expansion, so Teshuva's doing good harassment here. Yet another turret, so good foresight there by Aeolus. He needs to repair it, but the turret's going to go down. These SCVs are going to be super vulnerable to the muta splash, but no, we're seeing these Marines and this Thor. This Thor is probably going to be the hero here. He's already got 3 kills. He's now going to start harassing these mutas. It's just a case of keeping this harassment and keeping as many mutas alive as possible. If Teshuva can keep them out of the way of this Thor, he can probably keep this harassment up. But the placement of these missile turrets is pretty good from Aeolus. He has spent a lot on it, and it's really capitalized. Really paid off for him here. These mutas are so beat up. We've got one on 21 hit points and another one on 16 hit points. So these mutas took so much damage taking out all of those missile turrets. They took out a few SCVs. They do have a few kills between them. But he lost a lot of them. He lost way too many mutas for the damage he did. I know it makes the Terran a little bit more defensive, but we are still seeing him lift off and take another expansion, which I do like to see from Terran. Now that he's going to be 3 base, he's going to be in a much stronger position. Even though Teshuva's finally got his gold expansion online, and in terms of income, we are seeing, Teshuva is doing alright, but I just expect that he's took so much punishment at his natural expansion from that push. He hasn't really got it back online yet, that Aeolus is going to be just fine, especially if Teshuva doesn't notice this expansion, and Aeolus is able to keep pushing, keep the pressure up. So, no, it's still pretty good position from both players. I like the way Aeolus has recovered. I like the fact that he realized he needed to use this ramp more. In this other attack, I would have liked to have seen him use this ramp a little bit more. He did catch Teshuva out of position, though. Like when Teshuva had a big ball of Roaches and Hydras, which should, well, have done better in that fight. It was just the thing that he sent his Roaches to the left and Hydras to the right, and the big cluster of siege tanks was basically free-firing on the Hydralisks. So just unfortunate for Teshuva's positioning there, otherwise he would have fed a little bit better. We are seeing a newly forged group of mutas on their way to harass, though, but I think this base is going to be just fine, especially with more Thors coming online. We have 4 Thors now, so I'm not sure how much harassment Teshuva is going to do. He has recognized this expansion down here, so he's going to try and deny that. Oh, he's being chased off. Maybe he didn't know that that was there. He is seeing this Thor Marine Hellion ball move out onto his creep, though. He would have noticed that. So it's up to these mutas to do enough harassment to make that army turn around, which it does seem to be doing. It does seem like Aeolus is going to send his main army to try and stop this muta harassment, and if he did do that, then Teshuva would be free to just have free roam on this base, fly past these turrets and do a lot of damage. But it looks like Teshuva playing a little defensive here, backing completely off. We are seeing Aeolus move out onto this gold expansion. Looks like Teshuva is going to lose another queen, which is unfortunate for him, and these Thors are coming in. There's only 1 siege tank here, though. Sorry, 3 siege tanks. They're just hiding behind their Thor buddies. But these Thors, Marines, Hellions, tanks going to work on this gold expansion. This point on the ramp. These mutas are going to be absolutely shredded if they try and defend this. They really need their